Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. This time we're tackling some money mistakes to avoid in your 20s and 30s.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, we're going to be pulling insights from this guide. It's all about making smart money moves, especially for women during those, kind of key years.
Yeah.
But honestly, even if you're not in that age range, this stuff is like universally useful. It's like financial wisdom for everyone, really.
Absolutely. These are like the fundamentals, right? It's all about building that solid financial foundation, and these concepts really, no matter where you are in your journey, it's going to help.
Okay, so the guide really hammered home this idea of time is money. Have you heard that before?
Oh, for sure.
It's about like really making compound interest work for you, which honestly can sound a little, I don't know, maybe intimidating at first.
Yeah.
There's this example in the guide that just kind of blew my mind. Imagine investing, let's say, just $1,000 when you're 25.
Okay.
Now picture someone else investing the same amount, same $1,000, but they don't start until they're 35. Because of this whole compound interest thing, that 10-year head start, it could mean ending up with like significantly more, way more, by the time retirement rolls around.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah. It's like time literally becomes your money-making best friend. Is there ever a point where it's just too late to benefit from that, though?
Well, here's the thing. Even though, yeah, starting early gives you like a massive advantage, it's honestly never too late to start. Like every dollar you invest, it can grow. It has that potential no matter when you actually begin.
Okay, that's good.
Think of it, like a snowball rolling down a hill. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets. So even if you're, I don't know, starting in your 30s, your 40s, consistent contributions, they still make a big impact long term.
That's a huge relief. So even small amounts, but consistently invested, they can really snowball over time. The guide really recommends using those, tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks, IRAs. It's like getting a bonus, but just for saving for your future.
Right. Absolutely. It's like a secret weapon, I think, for your finances. Tax benefits can really boost your savings, like big time, over time.
Right.
For example, let's say a traditional 401k. Your contributions, they're tax deferred. You don't pay taxes on that money until you take it out, like way later in retirement. So it's like a discount, right, on your taxes now, lets your investments grow even faster.
Okay, so we got time and compound interest on our side. Let's talk about something that's always been, I don't know, a bit of a mystery to me, credit scores. I'll admit, I used to think they were just like these random numbers that lenders, used to just make life difficult.
Yeah.
But this guide made me realize how important they really are. It's like your credit score. It's like your financial report card. It tells lenders, hey, this is how responsible you are when you borrow money.
It is. It's a great way to put it, like a report card.
Yeah, but why does a good score matter so much, like in the big picture?
Okay, so a good credit score, it's really important because it opens doors to so many more opportunities, better ones financially, Right.
Think about it this way. If you have like a fantastic report card, you're more likely to get into, I don't know, like the best schools, right?
Okay, yeah.
A high credit score, it's similar. It gives you lower interest rates when you get loans, and that can save you, potentially thousands over your lifetime. It's like you get rewarded for being a responsible borrower. And it goes beyond that. Like landlords, they often use credit scores to like screen potential tenants. And even some employers I've heard, they consider it when they're hiring.
Wow, I had no idea it had that much of an impact. The guide recommends checking your score often at annualcreditreport.com. That seems like a good first step, right?
Definitely a good starting point.
And then it's all about those good habits, paying your bills on time, using your credit wisely. It's simple, but it's about being consistent, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Building good credit. It's like building, a strong reputation. It takes time, it takes effort, and you got to be consistent.
Think of it like, working out. You go to the gym once, you're not going to see results immediately, right?
Yeah.
Same idea. So making those little choices consistently, like paying bills on time, keeping those credit card balances low, that's how you build this like strong credit history. And that can open up a lot of doors later on.
So it's about playing that long game.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a theme here.
Definitely.
Okay, let's move on to something that I think a lot of us can relate to, especially, when you start earning more. Lifestyle inflation.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of, hey, I got a raise, time to upgrade everything.
Right.
The guide calls it sneaky spending creep and warns that it can really like sabotage your long-term goals.
It's so true.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into wanting more, bigger, better all the time, right?
Totally. It's understandable, you know? You want to
Yeah.
enjoy, like, what you've worked hard for. But lifestyle inflation, it's so sneaky. It happens gradually, almost without you even realizing it.
It's true.
We justify those little upgrades, right? A slightly nicer apartment, maybe a few more dinners out, the latest gadget. But all those seemingly small expenses, they can add up so quickly. And before you know it, they can, like, derail your progress.
Yeah, you're totally right. Like, I remember when I got my first, like, real job, immediately I was like, okay, got to upgrade my apartment, new clothes, fancy dinners.
It's so easy to get caught up in that, right? Trying to keep up with
Oh,
appearances.
yeah. Especially now with social media. Everyone's always showing off their, like, best life, you know?
Yeah. It's easy to fall into that trap thinking we got to keep up with everyone else. But the thing is, true wealth, it's not about those material possessions, right? It's about that financial security, the freedom.
You're so right. And the guide really stresses being mindful about what we're spending. Like knowing the difference between needs versus wants. It's about those choices, where our money's going, right?
Exactly. Aligning our spending with what we value, what's important to us.
Mm.
Like, do we actually need that new thing? Or would that money be better off maybe saved for, I don't know, a down payment on a house or invested for the future?
Right, yeah.
Asking those tough questions and making the choices that support our long-term goals, our well-being.
Okay, so we've talked about time, those credit scores, and this whole sneaky lifestyle inflation trap. What about being prepared for those unexpected, life happens moments?
That's where an emergency fund comes in. That's your safety net financially. It protects you from going into debt when those unexpected expenses hit.
This one really resonated with me because, I don't know, a few years ago, I had this major car repair. Like, it came out of nowhere.
Oh, the worst.
Totally wiped out my savings. Ended up racking up credit card debt just to, cover it. The guide suggests having like 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved. That seemed impossible when I was younger and just like making ends meet. Is it even worth it to start small?
So having that fully funded emergency fund, yeah, it can seem daunting. But honestly, the most important thing is just starting.
Okay.
Even those small, consistent contributions, they add up over time. And it gives you, I think, a huge peace of mind, you know?
Yeah.
Think about it like you're building like a brick wall. Each small contribution is another brick. And eventually, you've got this solid foundation of financial security.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about having this like huge chunk of money right away,
Yeah.
but building that safety net over time, brick by brick. The guide also mentioned automating your savings as like a key strategy.
Oh, for sure. Automating your savings is one of the best ways to be consistent. You just set it up once.
Yeah.
Automatic transfers from your checking to your savings or maybe even your investment account every month. It's like you pay yourself first before you even have a chance to spend it.
I like that, paying yourself first.
Yeah, it takes the guesswork out of it and it helps you build those good financial habits without even thinking about it.
Okay, I'm on board with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about something that I'll admit when I was in my 20s felt like this really far off concept. Retirement planning. Back then, retirement felt like it was a lifetime away, right?
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, it didn't feel urgent. But this guide, it makes this like really important point, especially for women.
Yeah.
We tend to live longer than men, which means we need more saved to cover all those extra years,
It's true. It's true.
Did you ever feel that way about retirement planning? Like, oh, I could put it off.
I think a lot of people feel that way, especially when they're young, right?
Yeah.
You're more focused on those immediate goals, but the sooner you start saving, the more you benefit from that magical force we talked about earlier.
Compound interest?
Compound interest, exactly. Even small amounts, if you do it consistently over decades, it can grow so much.
Wow.
And you can enjoy a comfortable retirement without having to stress about money. Imagine, traveling, doing those hobbies you've always wanted to do, spending time with your loved ones, but without worrying about money. That's the power of starting early.
It's like planting a seed, and then years later, it grows into this massive tree, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
You mentioned those different retirement accounts, like 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs. Can you, like, break
Yeah.
those down for us? Those terms used to, I don't know, just make my head spin.
Okay, so a 401k, that's a retirement savings plan that a lot of employers offer. You contribute a part of your paycheck before taxes are taken out, and then a lot of times your employer will match a percentage of what you contribute. It's free money, basically, to invest in your future.
Wow.
An IRA, or individual retirement account, that's an account you can open on your own, even if you have a 401k. There's two main types, traditional and Roth. With a traditional IRA, you usually get a tax deduction for what you contribute, but then you pay taxes on that money when you take it out in retirement. With a Roth IRA, your contributions aren't tax deductible, but your withdrawals in retirement are tax free.
Okay.
So there's pluses and minuses to both.
So it sounds like if your employer offers a match, you got to take advantage of that, right?
Definitely. It's like, yeah, free money. It's a powerful way to supercharge your retirement savings. The guide also talked about knowing how much you need for retirement, like figuring out your own personal needs. There are online calculators that can help you estimate based on, the kind of lifestyle you want and your expected expenses. It's about taking control and planning for the future you want, not leaving it to, chance.
Makes sense. Speaking of planning for the unexpected, let's tackle a topic that honestly I used to just kind of, I don't know, tune out insurance.
Yeah.
I used to think it was just another expense, like, oh, I can avoid this. But this guide really made me realize, you need to protect yourself financially.
It's important.
Life throws curveballs, right?
Yeah.
It's like having a safety net, right?
Absolutely. Insurance, it's all about managing risk. And as we get older, take on more responsibilities in our 20s, 30s, it becomes even more important. Think of it as a shield protecting you financially from those unexpected things that happen. And there are a lot of different types of insurance that become more and more relevant during this stage of life.
Okay, so what are the main types we should be thinking about?
All right, let's start with health insurance. Having good coverage, that's super important. It protects you if you get sick or injured.
Right.
If your work doesn't offer a plan, you can check out the healthcare marketplace.
Okay.
Then there's disability insurance. This one's especially important if you're, I don't know, self-employed or if your job is physically demanding. It can replace part of your income if you can't work because of an illness or an injury. It's like an income safety net.
I never really understood disability insurance before, but that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's good to have that backup plan, just in case. And then as you, start taking on more responsibilities like starting a family, buying a home, life insurance becomes more and more important. It protects your loved ones financially if something happens to you, helps cover things like, mortgage payments, child care, even education costs.
Right.
It's a way to make sure your family is taken care of, even if you're, not there.
That's a powerful point. It's not just about us. It's about those we love, too.
Exactly. And of course, we can't forget the everyday essentials. Car insurance, home insurance.
Yeah.
Those protect you financially if there's an accident, theft, or damage to your property. The key is having enough coverage, but, that fits your needs, your situation. You don't want to be overpaying for something you don't need.
So it's being proactive, making sure your insurance coverage keeps up with your life.
Right.
Like buying a house, having kids, starting a business. All those things change what kind of coverage you need. This deep dive has been eye-opening. We've covered saving, investing, credit, budgeting, emergency funds, retirement planning, and now insurance.
It's a lot, but you see how it's all connected, right?
It's like a puzzle, I guess.
Exactly. Each of these things plays a crucial role in building that foundation for financial well-being. It's about taking this holistic approach, seeing how each piece fits together.
And I'm starting to realize it's not just about being good with numbers.
Yep.
It's about having those good habits, making those smart choices, having a plan.
Having a plan, yeah, that's key.
Speaking of which, the guide, it really stresses setting clear financial goals.
Oh, goals are so important.
Yeah.
Without them, you kind of just drift. You make decisions on the fly, and you might not be moving towards what you really want long term.
I've definitely been guilty of that in the past. The guide suggests using this SMART goal framework.
Oh, yeah, SMART goals.
It's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. The SMART framework, it's a roadmap for achieving your dreams, your financial dreams. It takes those vague wishes and turns them into concrete action plans. Let's say, I don't know, your goal is to buy a house, right? Instead of just saying, I want to buy a house someday, a SMART goal would be more like, I want to save $20,000 for a down payment on a house within the next 3 years.
Right.
You see? It's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's relevant to your desire to buy a house, and it's time-bound. There's a deadline.
Wow. That makes so much more sense than just, having a vague hope.
Right. It's like taking that dream and turning it into a plan with actual steps that you can take.
And by breaking it down into smaller steps, you're more likely to actually, do it, stay motivated.
It's so true. It's like climbing a mountain. When you look at the summit from the bottom, it can seem daunting, but
Yes.
you focus on one step at a time, eventually you'll reach the top.
That's a good analogy.
It works.
I'm starting to see how all these things connect. It's not just about the money itself. It's about having that vision, those goals, and then taking the steps to make it happen.
That's the key. It's about empowering yourself.
Okay, so before we move on, I want to ask our listeners, what's one small step you can take today to move closer to your financial goals? Maybe it's creating budget, checking your credit score, or automating just a tiny bit of savings. Every little bit counts, right?
Every little bit helps, definitely. And as you're starting to think about your finances more, I want you to consider this. How might your financial goals change over time as you go through different stages of life? Think about how those priorities might shift, as you move through your career, start a family, get closer to retirement. Being flexible with your financial planning, it's going to help you navigate those changes with confidence.
That's a great point. Financial planning is not a one-time thing. It's this ongoing process that changes, just like our lives do. We'll be back soon to, dive even deeper into these topics. But until then, remember, you are capable of achieving your financial dreams.
You got this. It's interesting, isn't it, how our financial goals, they kind of shift as we move through life.
Yeah, like they totally evolve.
In our 20s, we're all about, paying off those student loans.
Oof. Yeah. Saving for that first apartment. But then you hit your 30s and things change.
Yeah, your priorities shift.
Suddenly it's about maybe starting a family or really investing in your career.
Right, or even, starting your own business.
Exactly. And then before you know it, retirement is on the horizon.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
You got to make sure you have enough saved to, enjoy those golden years.
It's true. It's like each chapter of our lives has its own set of, financial challenges
Absolutely.
and opportunities. The guide we've been talking about, it doesn't, specifically map out all those changes.
Right.
But it emphasizes having a plan, a financial roadmap, so you can handle all the twists and turns. Would you say that's the key takeaway? Having that plan, even if you need to adjust it along the way?
I think so, yeah. Having a plan is super important. But you're right, it shouldn't be set in stone. Life, it throws curveballs.
Always.
You got to be flexible.
Okay, so we know a plan is important, but how do you even go about creating one? The guide talked about budgeting. Yeah, budgeting is a good place to start.
But are there other tools out there, resources that can help with, the whole financial planning thing? When I first started, I was so overwhelmed. Where do you even begin?
Oh, I know, right? There are so many resources these days. One option is working with a financial advisor.
Okay.
A good advisor, they're like your financial co-pilot,
Yeah.
They can help you figure out where you're at, set those goals, and make a plan to reach them. And they can help you make those big financial decisions, make sure you're on track.
That sounds super helpful, especially if you're feeling lost. What if you're not ready to, hire someone? Are there DIY options for those of us who like to, figure things out ourselves?
Oh, totally. There's tons of stuff online, budgeting apps, financial calculators, websites. You can even find books and podcasts that explain all those, complicated financial things in a way that's easy to understand.
That's good.
The trick is finding what works for you,
Yeah, your own learning style.
Exactly. Some people are visual learners. Some people prefer audio. You got to find what clicks for you.
That's great advice. It's about finding what works for you and then just, making it a habit to stay informed about your finances.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing that really struck me about the guide was this emphasis on empowering women to take control of their money.
It's so important.
It feels really relevant now, with more and more women breaking those barriers and taking charge of their financial futures.
Absolutely. Historically, women have been, left out of those money conversations.
Yeah, they weren't taken seriously.
Exactly. But the reality is women are increasingly becoming the primary breadwinners in their families. They're making more of the financial decisions.
Right. It's not just about the household budget anymore.
It's about investing, building wealth, creating their own financial destiny.
Yeah, it's about shattering those stereotypes, right? Those old-fashioned ideas about women and money.
Exactly. Women are just as capable, if not more so, of managing their finances. It's about owning that power, making choices that align with your values, your goals.
And it's not just about breaking those, glass ceilings in the workplace. It's about breaking those financial barriers too, right?
Exactly. Financial literacy is crucial for everyone, but for women, it's especially important, given the unique challenges they face.
Yeah, what kind of challenges?
Well, think about the gender pay gap. Women still earn less than men for the same work.
It's true.
Women also tend to live longer than men, so they need more savings to cover those extra years. And they often end up being the primary caregivers, which can impact their earning potential.
That's a lot to juggle.
It is. So having those financial skills, being prepared for whatever life throws at you, it's so important for women.
It's about having that financial security, that independence, right?
Exactly. It's about being able to make choices that align with your dreams. Maybe it's traveling the world. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's just knowing that you're in control of your own financial future.
Having that peace of mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This deep dive has really shown that financial well-being, it goes way beyond just the numbers.
It's about having the freedom to design the life you want, right?
That's it. Financial security, it's not just about dollars and cents. It's about having that peace of mind, knowing you can handle those unexpected expenses, you can pursue your passions, you can provide for your loved ones.
Without constantly worrying about money.
Exactly. It's about having the confidence to say yes to opportunities, knowing you've got that solid financial foundation to back you up.
And to say no to things that don't align with your goals without feeling pressured by those financial limitations.
Exactly. And that sense of empowerment, that freedom, it goes beyond any specific age, gender, income level.
It's universal.
It is. It's this universal desire to have those resources and the knowledge to create a life that feels authentic and fulfilling.
It's a good goal to have. This conversation has definitely made me think about all the small things we can do, those little steps to build that foundation for financial well-being.
It all starts with those small steps, yeah.
We've talked about these big ideas, but what about you? What are some specific habits or practices that have really helped you in your own financial journey?
For me, one of the most helpful things has been automating my savings.
Okay.
It takes all the guesswork out of it, and it ensures that I'm consistently putting money aside for my goals.
Like you're on autopilot.
Exactly. It's like financial autopilot. That money goes straight to my savings or investment account each month before I even have a chance to spend it.
That's smart.
It is, right? It removes the temptation.
Yeah, like you're tricking yourself into good habits.
Exactly. Another game changer for me has been tracking my spending. I use a budgeting app to categorize everything, see where my money is going. You wouldn't believe how much more aware you become of your spending patterns when you actually track them.
That's interesting. I've heard some people say that tracking expenses feels, I don't know, restrictive, but you're making it sound more like a tool for empowerment.
That's exactly how I see it. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about making conscious choices, aligning your spending with your values, your priorities.
Okay, yeah.
If you realize, I don't know, let's say you're spending more than you want on eating out, then you can make a conscious effort to cook at home more. It's those little adjustments that can really make a big difference.
It's like shining a light on those spending habits so you can really see where you're at.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, when you track your spending, you often find hidden opportunities to save money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like maybe there's subscriptions you're not using anymore, or you realize you could negotiate better rates on some things. It's about taking control, making your money work harder for you.
So you're saying it's better to be proactive with your money instead of just letting things happen?
100%. Being proactive with your finances means taking ownership of your financial well-being.
Right, making those choices.
Exactly. You're making decisions that align with your goals. You're not just reacting to what's happening.
It's like you're in the driver's seat.
You are. You're creating a plan that works for you, not against you.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
That shift from reactive to proactive, it sounds really powerful.
It is.
And it reminds me of that idea of financial resilience that we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
Like being able to handle those ups and downs, life's curveballs with more confidence.
Exactly. Building financial resilience is about developing those skills, those habits that let you weather the storm, come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
It's like building a house with a really strong foundation.
Okay.
It can withstand those unexpected gusts of wind.
That makes sense. It's like that saying, the only constant is change.
That's so true, especially with finances. Incomes can fluctuate, those surprise expenses pop up, and our goals can totally change over time.
Speaking of change, I've definitely made my fair share of money mistakes. What about you? Have you had any financial, blunders that you've learned from?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think we all have those moments where we're like, ugh, why did I do that?
Totally.
One of my biggest mistakes was, I don't know, probably racking up credit card debt in my 20s. I didn't really get interest rates, and I ended up paying way more than I needed to.
Oh, yeah.
It was a tough lesson, but it taught me to be more careful with credit, always pay my balances in full whenever I can.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, especially when those credit card offers are so tempting. But it sounds like you turned that mistake into a valuable learning experience.
I did, yeah. It made me more mindful of my spending, and it taught me how important it is to pay down debt.
Okay, yeah.
It also showed me that I needed to like really educate myself about finances, understand those key concepts like interest rates, compound interest, the power of saving early.
Right, yeah.
It's like sometimes those mistakes are the best teachers, you know? They help us see our blind spot so we can develop better habits and make better choices in the future.
I like that. Mistakes aren't failures, they're opportunities to learn.
Exactly. Everyone makes mistakes, but it's how we learn and grow from them that really matters. It's about using those experiences to build that financial resilience we were talking about.
This conversation has really shifted my perspective on those money mistakes. It's not about beating yourself up for past decisions. It's about using them as lessons, so we can make smarter choices moving forward. What other, insights have you gained from your own financial journey?
One of the biggest things I've learned is the power of consistency. When it comes to building wealth, those small, consistent actions over time, they make a much bigger difference than those big, dramatic moves.
Oh, like the tortoise and the hare.
Exactly. Slow and steady wins the race.
That's a good analogy.
It's
It's a reminder that you don't need to do everything at once. It's about those little habits, those sustainable changes.
that you can stick with, yeah.
Exactly. Like setting up those automatic transfers to your savings, paying your bills on time, maybe negotiating a better rate on your phone bill.
All of that adds up, yeah.
All adds up over time. Kind of like, I don't know, snowflakes building up into a snowdrift.
Perfect analogy.
Speaking of those small, consistent actions, this guide really emphasized compound interest.
Oh, compound interest is amazing.
It's incredible how that one concept can make such a huge difference in your financial future.
It's like magic, right? It's the idea that your money earns interest and then that interest earns more interest and it just keeps building on itself. The earlier you start, the more time that snowball has to roll and get bigger and bigger.
The guide had that example of investing $1,000 at age 25 versus 35, and the difference was huge. It really shows that time is like our biggest asset when it comes to money.
100%. Starting early gives you a huge advantage, but it's never too late to start benefiting from compound interest. Like every dollar you invest can grow no matter when you begin.
That's reassuring to hear. It's a reminder that we can shape our own financial futures no matter where we're starting from.
Absolutely.
It's not about waiting for that perfect moment or having a ton of money to invest. It's about taking those small steps today.
Exactly. It's about taking control, being proactive.
This conversation has really changed how I think about financial planning. It's not just about numbers and spreadsheets. It's about having a vision for your life and then, making it happen.
I love that. It's about finding that balance between planning and being flexible and knowing that everyone's financial journey is different.
That's a good point. We've talked a lot about the individual side of things, but financial well-being is also tied to bigger social and economic issues, right?
That's a really important point to acknowledge. Our individual financial situations, they're influenced by so many factors like access to education, job opportunities, and resources.
It's not always a level playing field.
It's not, unfortunately.
It's a reminder that financial well-being isn't just an individual responsibility. It's also about creating a society where everyone has a chance to thrive financially.
I completely agree. We need to advocate for policies that promote financial literacy and access to financial services for everyone. It's about leveling the playing field so that everyone has the opportunity to build a secure future.
This conversation has really sparked my passion for financial literacy and empowerment.
Me too.
It's not just about knowing the technical stuff about money, it's about understanding the power of our choices, having the confidence to shape our own financial destinies.
That's what it's all about. It's about empowering ourselves and each other, creating a world where financial well-being is possible for everyone.
That's a great goal. As we move into the next part of our deep dive, I'm really interested in exploring those bigger societal implications of financial well-being and talking about what we can actually do to create a more just and equitable financial system.
I'm excited to dive into that with you. It's going to be a great discussion.
In the meantime, we want to hear from you, our listeners. What are your biggest takeaways from this conversation so far? What steps are you inspired to take to boost your own financial well-being? Share your thoughts and experiences with us. We're all in this together.
It's funny, isn't it? Like how much our overall well-being, it's tied to feeling, secure financially. We've talked about so much in this deep dive.
We have.
And I think one of the biggest things I've realized is that it's not just about the numbers, it's our mindset, our habits, those little choices we make every day. They kind of build up, create this bigger picture.
It's true. It's not just about how much money you have, right?
Right.
It's more about like your relationship with money, how you think about it, how you manage it.
Yeah, your beliefs.
Exactly. It's about shifting from that feeling of stress, being overwhelmed by money, to feeling like empowered, in control.
Well, I remember when I used to feel so lost about money.
Okay.
Just making it like random decisions, ignoring bills, hoping for the
Yep,
best.
it was like I was on this hamster wheel, just running and running, but going nowhere.
It can feel like that, especially when you're starting out or when you hit those unexpected bumps on the road, like trying to figure out a maze, but without a map.
Exactly.
Uh,
But then I don't know, I came across these like basic financial principles,
mm.
budgeting, saving, investing. And as I started, actually doing them, something changed.
Yeah, it happened.
It wasn't just the practical stuff. My whole mindset shifted.
That's the amazing part, right? It's realizing you have the power to change things.
Yeah.
Your choices, they directly impact your financial situation.
They're not just a passenger anymore.
Exactly. You become the driver. You're in control of your own journey.
It's a good feeling, like
Yep.
finally grabbing the steering wheel and, deciding where you want to go. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to the guide for a sec.
Okay.
It was aimed at women in their 20s and 30s, but what we've talked about today, it applies to everyone, right?
Mm. Oh, absolutely. Age, gender, income, doesn't matter. These are like those core financial principles. Everyone needs them to build a good life.
It's about creating that strong foundation, and then you can build from there.
Exactly.
And it all boils down to, those consistent little steps, building good habits, making choices that align with what we value, what we want to achieve.
Right. You don't have to become a financial guru overnight.
No, definitely not.
It's those small wins that make a difference over time.
And it's okay to make mistakes along the way.
Oh, for sure. We're all learning as we go, right? And, we're all in this together, supporting each other, learning from each other, celebrating those wins.
I like that. It's like we're all in the same boat, navigating these financial waters,
Yeah.
cheering each other on. It's not a competition.
Exactly. It's about helping each other out.
Okay, so this deep dive has been amazing. We've explored so many things: compound interest, building those healthy habits, navigating all those ups and downs that life throws at you.
It's been a great conversation. I hope everyone listening has learned something new and feels, inspired to take action.
Yeah, definitely. We encourage you to keep learning, keep asking questions, keep working towards those financial goals. Remember, you can do this. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
That's the key. And believe in yourself. You got this. We'll be back soon with more deep dives, exploring all kinds of fascinating topics.
Until then, keep diving deep, keep learning, keep striving for that financial freedom that lets you live a life you love.
That's what it's all about.
This is it for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.